I'd now like to turn to RFE-RL, and I'm pleased to welcome distinguished journalist and broadcast executive Kevin Klose back as acting president and CEO of Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. Appointed on January 26th, Kevin understands well from firsthand experience the special challenge and public trust that RFE-RL represents. I'd like to thank my colleagues for their speedy work in addressing RFE-RL's interim leadership needs, especially Susan McCue, the board's vice chair, who spearheaded the effort to recruit Kevin. I'd like to ask now Kevin to update the board on the activities of RFE-RL.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's nice to be back as a temp. So I'd like to speak a little bit about our language service reviews, which just took place last week in Prague at the radio's headquarters. Deputy IBB Director Jeffrey Trimble and his federal colleagues Bruce Sherman and Karen Larson came out. We went through, over the course of 2 days, 19 separate presentations by our services of the 28 languages that go up out of Prague every day. So we're very pleased to have them with us. We really got a real feel of the vitality and the interest and the tremendous expertise and professionalism of these services. These are services that mostly serve on the periphery of the Russian Federation, and so they're very important to us in serving the interests of that whole extraordinary Eurasia region. So it was important for me to see what we were doing, whether the story is about politics or breaking news or the story of a family, such as you will now see from our Afghan service. The purpose here is to bear witness to the plight of people who would not otherwise be noticed, whose circumstances certainly could never be known by others except beyond their immediate, very small communities. The idea here is that with knowledge, the wider world can take action, can take notice, and can understand the plight of many people whom they wouldn't otherwise know about, and that helps us all. So the video we've selected for today is here for two reasons. Just very recently, a few hours ago, it won an in-house award for our monthly recognition of the best multimedia video presentation of the previous month. It exemplifies the values of our work. Please join me in watching this piece and saluting Radio Azadi, the Afghan service, for an outstanding piece of work. Let me give you a quick synopsis of this story as written by the jury, and the video narration will speak for itself. You're going to see a story of a family trapped in a cycle of debt. This is a 4-minute, 15-second presentation of how these people live, and from that we can extrapolate to the plights and the aspirations of millions and millions of people who are now served by the services of all these great international broadcast operations, broadcast, internet, multimedia operations, of which I'm now once again a part. Thank you very much. Here we go.
Zabit Khan longs to escape from the vicious cycle of debt and poverty that has plagued him for the past decade. Khan, his wife, and their 9 young children are bonded laborers at a brick factory in Afghanistan's eastern Nangarhar province. Khan owes money to the factory's owner, and he and his family must work until his debts are paid off. That means 12 hours each day spent squatting in the dirt, making line after line of clay bricks.
یو 2,80,000 روپۍ قرضدار یم په بټۍ کې مجبوري ده ځان مې ګرو کړی دی ماشومان مې واړه دي زه په خپله مریض یم نو بس د مجبوریت د خاطر هم دا بټۍ قبوله کړې ده چې کوټه نشته او د مجبوریت د خاطر دا خښت م قبوله کړي دي او ځان ګرو کړی دی.
The Khans are not alone. Tens of thousands of Afghans are trapped by debts that keep them in perpetual poverty. It's a common situation at many of the brick kilns that dot the Afghan countryside. For the majority of the workers at the kilns, there is no escape. Workers who can't afford basic necessities borrow money from their employers, but the wages that they earn are barely enough to survive on, and not enough to pay off their debts. With each year, their debts grow and are passed on from parents to children. Khan's daughter Hamida, who is 8, longs to go to school, but she is also bound by her father's contract to work at the kiln.
سالور نه سالور خواندې مجبوري ده لګي کار 3 بجې پاسېږو تر 5 بجو پورې کار
A UN-backed survey last year revealed that almost half of all brick makers in Afghanistan are children under 14. While it's illegal for children to work long hours or do heavy labor, families like the Khans have little choice. Khan's 6-year-old son Assad says he and his siblings get sick and injured from the grueling work. Assad wants to become an engineer, but he acknowledges the family may never make it out of the factory.
مجبور ہے چې کو پلان مې مرز دې پیسې نه لرو کور نه لرو مجبور ہے چې دا کار
مکتب ته ځې مکتب ته نه ځې
نه
ولې نه ځې مکتب
مجبور ہے چې کار
In return for their work, the Khans stay in a mud brick house where they have a few mattresses to sleep on, some blankets, and running water. Khan is no longer able to work. He says his problems began some 20 years ago when his family fled from Afghanistan to Pakistan. While living in a refugee camp, he became ill and borrowed several $1,000s from a local kiln owner to cover his medical costs. Khan began working at the brick factory, but his weekly earnings left barely any money to pay off his debt. And as his family grew, Khan was forced to borrow more to pay for food, medicine, and other basic needs for his children. 7 years ago, an Afghan kiln owner bought his contract and the family moved back to Afghanistan. Khan's wife says the Afghan government must help them and improve economic conditions so they and thousands of other Afghans can escape the cycle of debt and poverty.
دا وشي چې دا پردي بټۍ کې هلته هم په بټۍ کې پرته یم دلته هم په بټۍ کې بس خپل ځای مې نشته دی دا دم نشته دی سر سوری هم نشته دی او دغه ډېره ده او ګټه هم نشته بس مختر یو د برات د خلکو دغه کوي او زما بچي غریبانه ورته ګوري چې ولا داسې موږ هم اغوستي وو داسې هغه موږ هم کړی وې بس ډېره مجبوري ده نو حکومت ته زموږ دا خواهش دی چې موږ سره مدد وکړي امداد را سره وکړي
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Beautifully edited film, aside from its extraordinary reporting.
Yes, thank you very much, Kevin.